Okay, I guess we're ready to go. Good afternoon. Before we get started here,
from the farm.
Mr. Burke, will you start off with the safety briefing?
Great, welcome. You're here at Energy Plaza on 16th and Harney, and we're here in our auditorium on really the east side of the building here. The exits, obviously, you came in several of the exits as well. If you came in from the rear of the auditorium, there's also exits on the front here. The board will exit on one of these exits and then follow our security to an appropriate place that they'll be directed to. In the event there is a fire, we would ask you not to use the elevators. We would take the steps. We would exit down the steps. We would ask you to use three-point touch, one hand on the railing, 2 feet on the ground. We would exit the building on the 17th Street side. You'll be directed to where we will meet at that point. In the event of severe weather, you'll be directed by security, probably to the west side of the building in the garage area. If you have a medical condition, please write it down or tell your neighbor. And again, we won't use the elevators in case of a fire. The fire extinguishers are right outside this door, kind of around the corner, around conference room A, and it's right there on the wall, as well as the AED and the first aid kit. If you walk into right before you go into the cafeteria area on the right-hand side on the brick wall, one on top of each other, the AED and the first aid kit. And is anybody here certified in the use of an AED or in CPR? Very good, appreciate that. Let's see here, I think that's it. In the case of anyone calling emergency, our security folks will call emergency on our behalf. And I believe that consists of my safety briefing. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the June 2018 meeting of the Omaha Public Power District Board of Directors. Let's run through our list of housekeeping items. First and foremost, please silence your electronic devices. This regular board meeting will follow the agenda made available to the public upon entering the meeting. This meeting is streaming live on the internet at OPPD.com. Our regular board meetings have public comment periods on the agenda. Following board discussion on each pending matter, I will ask for public comment before bringing the matter to a vote. Also, prior to adjournment of the meeting, you'll have an opportunity to comment on any other OPPD matters. If you wish to speak, please approach the microphone to your far left and state your name and address and state the name of any organization or person you are representing. Organizations should choose one representative to speak on their behalf so as to avoid repetitive commentary. Comments made by all parties during the meeting are part of the official public record. Each individual will be allotted 3 minutes per matter pending at the discretion of the board. To assist you, we use a red, yellow, green light indicator to ensure each member of the public receives a consistent amount of time. Ms. Tracy will signal you when 30 seconds remain, as well as when your time is up. Please direct your comments to me, not to other board members or the executive team. I'll either respond to you directly or defer response to another board member or officer of the district. If you brought written materials, Ms. Tracy will receive them on our behalf. Ms. Tracy, please call the roll.
Barrett.
Yes.
Kavanaugh.
Here.
Gay.
Here.
McGuire.
Here.
Mines.
Here.
Moody.
Here.
Trinan.
Here.
Yoder.
Here.
Agenda item number 4, notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in the Omaha World Herald and outlets, by displaying such notice on the RK level of Energy Plaza since May 30th, 2018, and by mailing such notice to each of the district's directors on that same date. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the open meetings law is available for inspection in the public meeting book located in this meeting room. Now on to board consent action items. The consent agenda items are as follows. Approval of the April 2018 comprehensive financial and operating reports, May 17th, May 17, 2018 board meeting minutes, and the June 7, 2018 agenda. Item number 6, fly ash recycle and flue gas recirculation systems, Nebraska City Unit 2. Resolution number 6249. Number 7, SD 15 enterprise risk management monitoring report, resolution number 6250. Number 8, SD1 strategic foundation revisions, resolution number 6251. And item 9, a multi-year contract option to procure additional 345 kV and 161 kV auto transformers, resolution number 6252.
Okay.
If there are no corrections, changes, or additions to these items, I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items. Pardon me.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on these consent items 5 through 9. Do any directors have any comments? Seeing none, do any members of the public wish to comment on consent items 5 through 9? John?
John Pollock, 1412 North 35th Street, Omaha. I would like to address item number 7, the Enterprise Risk Management Monitoring Report. Specifically, among the enterprise risks is the decommissioning process, which includes putting the fuel rods into dry storage. I'm highly in favor of this. However, I think that when you're looking at long-term risks, it would be wise to look at putting the dry casks out of the floodplain. We had an event in 2012 which involved significant damage to the Fort Peck Dam, which is the uppermost dam in the Missouri River system. There was a significant risk of dam failure, although they did contain the situation before anything worse happened. That was at about a quarter of their what they rated the dam should be able to take. It was a rare event, but in my estimation, the Army Corps of Engineers is underplaying it because they don't take climate change into account. And we've been having more and more heavy rainfall events in the central and northern Missouri River drainage. So the result is that even though it's a rare event over the lifetime of those dry casks, I think that it would be better to have them up out of harm's way in the event of a major dam failure. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Mr. Murphy, you care to comment on that?
Yeah, Mr. Pollock, just some clarification. In 2011, the dry cask storage was not negatively impacted by the flood in 2011. And
Okay, or 11, sorry.
No, yeah,
No.
so, that area was already predetermined as a dry cask storage area, and this is just the extension of that, which is even farther to the west of where the current dry cask storage facility is right now.
That's good. The higher you get it up, the better, but that particular event did not involve an actual dam failure.
Correct.
That was just a big flood. If one of the dams was to fail, and I'm not saying it's likely, but over the lifetime of those casks, I think it's a conceivable event that you should probably bear in mind. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Okay, seeing no other comments, Kim, please call the roll.
Barrett,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Mines.
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Trinan,
Yes.
Yoder.
Yes.
Motion carried. On to our discussion action items. Agenda item number 10, corporate officer compensation, resolution number 6253. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the compensation, adjustment for President and Chief Executive Officer Timothy J. Burke as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto be and hereby is approved.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
I'll report on that.
Yep.
Thank you. As chairman of the governance committee looked at all compensation items, as said, this is required by state law to vote on these. But the first one we looked at was Tim Burke's salary. First of all, the committee consisted of myself, Director Kavanaugh as chair, and Director McGuire as vice chair, who makes up the governance committee. Our recommendation is a 3.5% increase for Tim Burke, would get his salary to $541,979, which is 64.6% of the midpoint of what CEOs make in our surveys around the country. That recommendation, he's done an excellent job. We based that on your reviews that the board members have turned in, which he did exceeded expectations. He had a 2.7 of a 3.0 on that. And then also all the strategic directives that we look at throughout the year and where we're at and meeting those, and those are all being met or exceeded. So that is a recommendation from the board.
Do any of the directors have any comments?
Sure, I'll comment. And I'm not quite sure how to start this. Maybe the way to start it is with a story. My family likes volleyball. We're big volleyball fans, and we go to not only Husker games, we've gone to international games that have been held here. We've even volunteered at those events. And at one of those events, I was on the court while the flag of the United States and the flag of another country was out there, and the national anthems for both countries were played. When the national anthem for the United States came on, people on the court, the volunteers, people from Omaha, all put their hand on their heart. I was a little slow to do that. I was slow to do that because I knew somewhere that that wasn't the right thing to do. I couldn't find the words to do it, so everyone else was doing it. I put my hand on my heart. Afterwards, when we went back, the officials told us that is a neutral court. All of the countries come there, and that is a neutral court. No official, no line judge, nobody demonstrates any affiliation with any flag that goes on. And that's your job when you're out there, whether you're pushing the broom or whatever you're doing. You are part of the court. So social norms, I put my hand in my heart because everybody, I've been trained to do that. People around me did that. And it is hard for me to go against what I think will be very clearly one vote against others. It is not an easy thing to do. And one thing that I found during that volleyball match was that it's important to have the right words to explain your actions. And I think the action that I will share here is that for this vote and the next one, I think everybody here who's up for a raise deserves it. Absolutely. We've got a great team. It's doing a wonderful job. We're headed in the right direction. But for me, where I come from, that southeast part of Nebraska, the rural areas, the numbers are too high. So I can agree that people deserve the raise. I can agree that everybody's doing a good job, but I can't accept the number. This is not easy for me to say. It's not easy for me to argue, and maybe you don't accept it. I am just proud of these people working in the public sector, which by and large doesn't get the compensation it deserves, whether it's a school teacher, county clerk, anybody. And it is just tough for me. I'm bound to the numbers I'm used to throughout that sector, and I can't support a digit beyond or a digit below is what I can support.
Are you talking about the,
Percentage of increase.
you have a problem with the salary to begin with? Do you have a problem with the percentage of the raise? I guess I don't
Percentage of the
understand.
raise is where I am.
Fine. Okay.
Any other directors have any comments?
Yeah, I have one. I'd like to commend President Burke on a number of fronts, particularly economic development here in Nebraska, not just in our district, but in all of Nebraska, particularly on people development and mentoring of what I consider a very strong management team at OPPD, and his community involvement, which I think reflects very well on this organization. I just want that to be on the record.
The change in our industry in the last 4 years is completely out of sight. It just keeping up with everything that's going on in this industry. President Burke is leading a team that is more than outstanding. They're guiding this institution into the future. Without that leadership, we wouldn't be able to come to you folks and show all the things we're doing, from renewables to just general operations, employee negotiations, employee relations. I think Mr. Burke deserves this raise more than I can say right now. He's an outstanding leader, and I'm behind him more than 100%.
Thank you.
I totally agree with the prior two speakers. One thing I'd like to add is that with the Fort Calhoun decommissioning, which was very, very, perhaps the biggest decision that any CEO could make, and the most emotional decision because it affected so many employees, the way that that has come through in such a successful manner so far in dealing with employees in a passionate way, trying to, move them to different places as much as possible. The excess training that they've gotten and everything else has just been outstanding. On top of that, decommissioning right now is under budget, which there's not many decommissioning sites that are, you can say that. And that's, I think, again, because he's chosen the right people and he's had the right leadership and the right way to handle the situation.
Comments?
Just got a couple things. First, Director Yoder, I want to thank you for your comments. It's not easy to go against the norm, and I appreciate the comments that you made. So thank you. When I consider Mr. Burke's performance, I'm looking at it in a couple different ways. One is the organization achieving what we as a board are sort of directing it to, which really manifests itself in the corporate scorecard, right? Like, that's the measurable mechanism by which we should be looking to determine how we're doing. And on nearly every measure, if not every measure at this point, we're doing well. And that's something that, the buck stops at Mr. Burke's desk. So that justifies us supporting this increase. I would also add, and sort of piggybacking on what Director Trinan said, I very much appreciate the work that Tim does out of the office as well. Every time we talk, I enjoy the conversations that we have about the work that he's doing within the city and within the state to really move our communities forward. And I think Tim, as the face of this organization, out in front of it, that work is really, really important for me, and I appreciate that work that Mr. Burke is doing as well. The last thing that I would say, and this goes for the next item on the agenda, I would echo some of the earlier comments that my colleagues have made, which is to say we've got an excellent team today. It's about retention. It's about retention. And as this industry speeds up, the competition for good people is getting more and more difficult. And so in my mind, our job as directors, especially as it relates to our president, is to retain him, especially if we can agree that we're going in the right direction. So those are the 4 points, and I support it.
Thank you. Any other directors? Okay, I'd like to say that, to echo most of the other directors, all the other directors, I'm very happy with the job that Tim and his team are doing. Again, both in the office and out of the office. That's a great way to put it, Greg. Very happy. We're happy with the direction the company's going. We're happy with the response we get as directors when we have concerns. We acted on quickly, and we're very satisfied in that regard. Tim is paid well, but you know what? He's paid below what his colleagues make nationwide, significantly lower than that. I'm not going to say we're getting a bargain. That sounds cheap. I'm not going to talk that way. Just saying that he's not overpaid. He certainly earns the compensation he receives, every dollar of it, and I support the increase, and I'll be supporting the next issue as well, the next item as well, dealing with the compensation for 3 of our vice presidents. Does anyone else have any comments? Any members of the public wish to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, Kim, please call the roll.
Barrett?
Yes.
Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Mines.
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Trinan,
Yes.
Yoder.
No.
Motion carried, 7-1. Agenda item number 11, corporate officer compensation, resolution number 6254 for Julie A. Comstock, Vice President Customer Service, Lisa A. Olson, Vice President Public Affairs, and L. Javier Fernandez, Vice President and Chief Financial Officer. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Omaha Public Power District that the compensation adjustments for Vice Presidents Julie A. Comstock, Lisa A. Olson, and L. Javier Fernandez as set forth on Exhibit A attached hereto be and hereby are approved.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Again, this is to the governance committee. Governance committee looked at these were based on a recommendation from our CEO, Tim Burke, to the board. We reviewed those as well and need to vote on these. As we said earlier, all the things that were said before about us meeting our goals and our strategic directives on Tim's situation rolls down as well. You need a good team to do that. And with Julie, Javier, and Lisa, we've got that. Some are new, and some have been with us a while at OPPD for sure. But they're doing an excellent job, and so the committee decided to do that. Just for the record, I do want to say Julie's would be 4.5%. To $310,825. That gets her at 96.23% of a midpoint. Javier is 4.5%, $334,400 at 76.52% of a midpoint, and Lisa Olson would be $334,214 at 4% or 104% of the midpoint. Again, the midpoint, we're trying to get them at a decent level so they're retained and kept with us. So that's the recommendation from the governance committee, approved by the governance committee and Tim Burke on Tim's recommendation.
Okay, do any other directors have any comments on this item?
Yeah. I do. The three people here are extremely professional, and when we looked at it, that they've exceeded the goals that were set out a year ago. And a third party has rated their performance as above average and exceptional. And one of the third thing I'd like to say is that, in Javier and Lisa and Julie's position, that the job market for these particular positions dictate what they get paid. And I'm not saying that they're going to go someplace else, but it's just a sign of respect, just to say, I'm going to pay you what your peers are getting paid. And I think we should live up to that. They're 24-hour people. I contact Lisa sometimes and ask her a question about operations, and on a Sunday night I know, or I don't want to know, but I know that at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night I can get an answer to that email. And that happens frequently throughout the year. And their sense of community involvement. Javier moved here a year ago. He left a great job at Bonneville Power in Oregon, and he's joined a community in Omaha, and he's welcomed the changes, and I just think it's great. So they deserve the raises that we're setting forth, and thank you for being such a great team player.
Hey, Mike, I have one more comment too on top of it.
Sure.
The one thing I'd agree with Director Barrett. We do work closely with these people, but the right thing, they do a great job all the time. And again, I just want to stress, the initiatives we're setting, these strategic directives all year long. I mean, and we've been going towards that path. They're not easy to achieve. I mean, that's why we're setting high goals, and they're achieving those and above on some others. So we've got a great team. So again, I think these are, the compensation is where it should be for the team we've got. And we have less of a team as well due to Director Burke shaping his new team. So actually, we're dealing with less overall executive team over the last few years and getting more done. So my comments.
Okay. Any members of the public wish to comment? Seeing none?
Well, let me
Oh,
just
sorry.
reiterate.
Okay.
I am not talking about personalities here. I'm talking about numbers and math. Okay. That's it.
Okay, Kim?
Barrett,
Yes.
Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Gay,
Yes.
McGuire,
Yes.
Lyons.
Yes.
Moody,
Yes.
Trinan.
Yes.
Yoder.
No.
Motion carried 7-1. Now on to the president's report.
Okay, yeah.
And I just want to let the board know, Julie Comstock is not here, not that she doesn't have interest in the last item, is that she is representing one of our employees that graduated from the Omaha Leadership Group, and so she's at that reception. And Mark Pohl was one of the folks that graduated from Leadership Omaha, and she's attending that on behalf. Mark works in her organization, so just wanted to let you know why she's not here.
Can I interject? And just to point out how busy she is, she did meet with me prior on another matter. So she changed her schedule at the last minute to make that happen.
Very good. And today also, Mary Fisher is not here today. She was originally going to do kind of an update presentation on the Community Solar Initiative. And so maybe unfortunate for everybody, I'm going to get the opportunity to do that for you today. And let you know kind of the latest, greatest details of that after the president's report. So just to, wet the whistle a
That'll be
little bit.
available in the parking lot afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So very good. So let's jump through our generation down to what's going on in the community from an OPPD perspective. Our baseload generation, Nebraska City 1 and 2 and units 4 and 5 at North Omaha are operating very well. Units 1 and 2 pretty much operated most of the month of May. Unit 2 did have a 7-day outage. Really more of a summer tune-up. We dropped some of the power load there and essentially operated for 247 consecutive days. It's been the second longest continuous operation duration in history for that unit. So it's operating incredibly well. And Unit 4 and 5 were available for most of the month outside of a few exceptions, but all of those units are up and operating and doing well on our baseload generation fleet today, or through the month of May anyway. Renewable generation, our energy contributed to 27%, 27.2% of OPPD's retail sales in the month of May. The wind capacity factor was at 35.4%. Year to date, renewable energy contributed to 35.1% of OPPD's retail energy sales, and the capacity factor for renewables was 51.1%. So we are getting significant contributions also from our renewable portfolio as well. Passion to serve. We've talked a little bit about some of our core values, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Many of these are all going to be focused on OPPD's core values. So for the 6th straight year, OPPD held its Day of Remembrance with a ceremony honoring the memories of the 18 employees who have died in the line of duty. The Day of Remembrance was the idea of OPPD employees, Jackie Jensen and John Thurber, and the event was live streamed for viewing by OPPD employees across the district. We do this and rotate this around the district, and each of the last 6 years that we've had this, we've had members of the family. In this example, we had a son and a grandson of one of the family members that were there, a brother and a sister, a wife, spouse, and another sibling that was there as well, representing the family. And it is very touching. We had one of our employees, I will say this, one of our senior crew leaders, Bruce Hamill, talk on behalf of the line crews on the work that OPPD is doing to improve and increase its safety performance, and essentially told them that although it may not be comforting, that the impact of these lives, these individuals that have given up their lives in the line of duty for the service and the work that they do has not gone in vain, is that our safety record over the period of years has significantly improved, and it's because of the great work of our men and women at OPPD, our focus of our leadership team as well. But it's just a great opportunity, and it's really about employees' passion to serve. We will be in the Blair Parade this weekend, so that's Blair's Greatest Hits parade. We'll have actually one of our trucks that will be there representing OPPD and a variety of employees that will be in that parade as well. We'll be distributing candy, and we'll have a team of OPPD people representing. And we do this across our service territory and kind of scatter that around in different parts of the year and different times. So you may see us at a community near you. Honoring our community. We've had some employees that are involved in Partnership for Kids. It's a mentoring and a goal buddy organization. We have about 80 employees that are engaged in this organization, working with elementary, junior high, high school, mentoring and goal buddy work, reading at the grade school levels. But we had 3 employees, Marjorie Bensinger, Jeremy Franks, and Lori Lapine, that raised over and had donated throughout OPPD about 1,317 new and gently used books that were given to kids. And one of the objectives was to make sure that kids could take a book home. And we may sit in this room and think that happens across, but in many parts of our community and many parts of our regions, kids do not have access to books and do not have books at home. And so this is a great example, and OPPD was a leader in this. Partnership for Kids generated over 5,000 books to give to elementary kids, and OPPD, attributed to a little over a quarter of all the books that were donated. So it's a great contribution in the work that we do just to help our young folks in the community and make sure kids have books and continue their reading skills. Another great Honor Our Community event is Stamp Out to Hunger. I want to thank all the employees that participated in that. This is really in support of the United States Postal Service's Stamp Out Hunger drive. In the last several weeks, employees donated over 4,000 pounds of canned food and other non-perishable items. All of these were donated to Heartland Family Service, and it was really organized by our collective bargaining units, our locals 1483, 763, and our machinist local 31. And so it was a great example of all of the OPPD family getting involved in helping people that need help with food and food shelters through Heartland Family Services. And then before we talk about our core values, another one about honoring our community. Over the last, just about the last 9 months or so, OPPD has been actively engaged in a program that we call Legacy. And it's about us actively engaging young men and women in our community. So we had engaged over 22 students over the course of this past year that graduated May 19th. From the Legacy initiatives. These students came from Omaha South, Central, Omaha North, Blackburn, Alternative School, and Benson High School. The program started in September of 2017, and the retention rate of these young men and women was 85%, which is amazing. These students will actually intern at OPPD, and as they begin their educational curriculum and careers, we have several of those that will be working in our T&D operations group with Mo, but they'll be scattered throughout the whole region. And our employees are really engaging in this. And this example of these potential line candidates, as we begin to think about a new apprentice program coming up in the next several years, these individuals, as they graduate through the Line Tech program at Metro Community College, may be applicable to be part of that apprentice program. And they'll be assigned ambassadors that will help them through that educational path. What we found very clearly is that many of these students may be first-time college graduates, whether it be at the community college level or four-year college level or trade level. And so it's an opportunity for us to tie our ambassadors with them to help them through that process. And I'm just incredibly delighted on the work that many of our team members, including our senior team, spent weekends working and evenings working with these kids, as well as many other OPPD volunteers to work with this program. And this is just a picture of the graduation that we had, and some very proud parents and very proud kids that participate in the program. And you will see some of them as part of the OPPD family in the future. There's no doubt. There's some great kids there. OPPD has 3 core values: passion to serve, we care about each other, and honoring our community. This month we're going to kind of highlight passion, that we have the passion to serve. And this will conclude kind of the last 3-month presentation of our core values. And then I'll give an update on our solar initiative and the update to that. So.
I guess I always knew it was important, but I didn't know to the magnitude of importance it was until it actually happened to me. When Brian and I had our second child, Kirsten, she was a week old. Noticed she wasn't breathing at the time, and she was kind of a little bit blue in her face, and we knew something was wrong with her. We just didn't know what it was. She was finally diagnosed with something called immature periodic breathing. Her brain hadn't completely developed enough that she continued to breathe. She was sent home on an apnea monitor. When she would stop breathing, it would alarm. Took her home on this, and she alarmed 16 times in the first 2 days. That was in July of 1997, and we kind of fast forward to October of 1997, and that's when we had the ice storm. At night, we had no way of going to sleep because there was nothing to alarm us if the battery went dead. I looked at Brian, I was kind of panicked because it's really hard to stay awake when there's no lights, there's no heat, and so we took turns trying to stay up and watch her. I can tell you this, it is really hard to stay awake. I think back to that day when we truly felt lost her. She is such a blessing to us, a gift that we have every day that we're here. And I was able to have a piece of equipment that literally to alarm to me that something was wrong. I have an 18-year-old that is absolutely beautiful, and we're so lucky to have her. That was the moment that I actually realized that public utilities, how incredibly important they are and how much we take for granted what we do every day. And it just was that important to me that what we do literally saves lives every day. I guess I didn't realize how much I had taken for granted that we had power. It makes me think about all the customers we have out there that have to have it. Whether it be a mom that is on her own trying to get it all done by herself, or whether it's a large family, both parents working, it truly does make a huge difference in our lives that we have this product that we can give to these people. That particular storm, they called all the people in to answer phones. When Fort Calhoun had the flood, people signed up to go sandbag. I even went and sandbagged, you know, and I mean, I don't have the arms to be able to do it, but I could tie sandbags at the end. To me, that is just amazing to have that, you know, to have a way to be able to connect to a mission to help the people around us, to have a better quality of life. I go to work because it's a mission for me. It connects to who I am. Every day I serve the poor, I serve the rich, I serve the disabled, I serve the healthy, I serve all the people that are in our community that need something to make their lives better. And this product is one product that actually does that, you know? It's in everything that we do. I find it completely inspirational and then honored that I'm one of those that get to do that.
I was just there when the Lango baby was born. Gina was actually working for MUD at the time. And so her husband is in our production operations side of the business. Brian Lango had been in the customer side and moved to the generation side. And now Gina is really the manager of our Center of Excellence, working on continuous process improvement, doing some great stuff. So,
Nice story.
very good, great story. So let me give you an update on, we'll let Kim transit, okay, very good. On our community solar update, we talked to the board last month, but we are now in a position where we actually have a signed agreement and to talk a little bit about kind of what we're doing and what the next steps will be and those kinds of things. So Kim, the next, I think we've shared this maybe publicly. I know we shared it with the board a little bit. 10 developers, 105 proposals. We're looking at anywhere between 0.5 megawatt and 5 megawatts. We evaluated 7 developers, 33 proposals. We did a variety of shortlist related items and took a variety of things into consideration. And as we took that into consideration, Kim, I'll let you go to the next page. We identified a site that's east of Fort Calhoun the city of Fort Calhoun, town of Fort Calhoun, just east. Between Fort Calhoun and the river, and to Mr. Pollak's, it's on the high side of that on the farmland up there. Just to let you know, it'll be there's 77 total acres there. This will consume approximately 35 acres. It'll be a 5 megawatt facility that would be part of our solar initiative, and I'll talk a little bit about the contract terms. It'll be a 20-year purchase power agreement. It was awarded to NextEra Energy Resource, so we have a representative that's in the room with us today, and so that was actually signed today. So we were kind of in a just in time to be able to communicate this for an early month board meeting. Again, as I said, it'll be 5 megawatts. It'll be located east of the city of Fort Calhoun, and there's a guaranteed commercial operation date of June of 2019. And so we are excited about the beginning of that. I will share a little bit about the price impact. So one of the things that we shared is what could be the impact and what would it look like to customers. And I will share this. We talk about a share being 100 kilowatt hours. And we've talked about that being representative of what the price of 100 kilowatt hours. What did I say? 100 kilowatt hours. Right, thank you. Did I say 1,000? No, you're right. I was right. Okay.
1,000 kilowatts.
That was noted on public. I think that I was right. 100 kilowatt hours. Thank you very much. We'll record that. 100 kilowatt hours, and it was based on a share is 100 kilowatt hours. And based on the pricing that we've received on this solar installation, based on the 2017 market pricing, the community solar charge would equate to about $1.02 per month for that 100 kilowatt hour cost. So we're pretty pleased with that. We've looked at ways to keep that as low as we possibly could for the impact of people that have interest with it, and we're really excited about that. Our teams have done just an exceptional job, and NextEra Energy has been a partner of ours on wind in the state of Nebraska, has been a great community partner and great work with the communities, and they'll do that as well. And we're really anxious to do some work with the city of Fort Calhoun as well. I think it's a great opportunity for us to work with them. I will talk a little bit about next steps. And so there's no specific dates on here. They wouldn't let me do that. But we're currently under the planning and development, and we're going to be doing some. What we heard very clearly in some of the research we did was the general solar education that needs to be done across all customers, and so we're going to begin to do that, and then a variety of internal education within OPPD, and then some market testing on different concepts and ways in which we can get the greatest amount of customers to participate in this initiative, and then put together the solar plan details, and then begin our residential enrollment process. And then, as I said, in June of 2019, the production of energy will occur at that facility with our partners, NextEra Energy. And you will probably see maybe in the this is the only date I'll do, Heather, and I won't lock you into it, but November to January, is that broad enough for you? We'll begin to kind of really go out and begin to talk to customers about signups and what that will look like, so we're prepared for June 2019. So that's the latest update, but we wanted to talk about who our partner was, how big the solar facility will be, and the impact that we see based on the pricing that we've obtained. So.
A quick follow-up question, if I may. The community solar charge of $1.02 based on 2017, since it goes into operation in June of 2019, will have a new number, but.
It will have a new number. It'll be based on whatever that market value is in 2018 for 19. So that'll change each year. The price, the 20-year contract, I believe is a flat rate, may have some inflationary impacts to that, but it's a 20-year agreement, so. And I'm completely outside of any other knowledge that I have on this.
Oh, shoot.
Mary's not here because she went home sick today, was not feeling well. And so we decided to give me the opportunity to do this.
Still going to ask you a question. if
Yeah,
that's
we
okay.
are.
Well, you can. We have some other folks in the room that may be able to help.
There's other people who might be able to answer that.
So the last graphic that you showed residential. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Residential enrollment begins, correct me if I'm wrong. but
November, January timeframe.
Timing doesn't matter. I wanted to differentiate between residential and commercial. So our assumption is that we'll do residential first and then fill in the gaps
Correct.
with commercial, so to
Correct.
speak, if we don't get it fully subscribed.
Correct,
That's
exactly. I
current
think,
plan.
we're kind of working through the 30, 60-day kind of timeframe to allow the residentials to have that opportunity to engage with it. We'll give enough communication on the front end, allow them to, during that enrollment period, to have the opportunity to engage. And then depending on the remaining volume that's left, then we'll look at other alternatives.
Okay.
I have one other question. The location in Fort Calhoun, that
Yes.
land, is there room to expand and perhaps expand to solar?
Again, it's 77 acres, and we're going to be consuming 35 acres. So about the rule of thumb is about a megawatt of solar equates to about 6 acres or something like that. This will be about half of that, so there'll be an opportunity to expand if we need to or desire to, if the demand is great to be able to do that. And again, the way we're structuring this, it's really revenue neutral or cost neutral to those customers that aren't participating in it. So we wanted to make sure there was that opportunity. But there may be that opportunity and an opportunity to expand. And obviously, we've looked at other locations as well. This was the one that gave us the lowest cost and interconnection to be able to do that and created the value that we saw kind of reduce over our negotiating of that $1.02 per 100 shares based on the elements that we just talked about. So team's pretty engaged. They're excited. They're moving forward with that with the work, and so we'll come back to you periodically and give you updates on any other update relative to this initiative. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Thank you.
Our next item is the opportunity for any members of the public who are here today to come down and comment on any other items of district business they may want to discuss.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Matt Gregory. I'm the Clean Energy Advocate for Nebraska Wildlife Federation and Nebraska Farmers Union. I live at 632 North 25th Street in Lincoln, but I'm from Omaha and my parents live in Minnelusa, not far from the North Omaha plant. I'm here today to comment on the Husker Power Plan, which is a state clean energy plan for Nebraska, so named because it calls for using in-state resources like wind and solar, as well as energy efficiency programs, while relying less on out-of-state fossil fuels such as coal and gas. The plan is motivated by economic, health, and environmental concerns and has been endorsed by 15 organizations and counting, including rural, environmental, conservation, and health groups representing over 13,000 Nebraskans. We believe the 5-year plan, vetted by energy consultants at Somer Energy LLC and Applied Economics Clinic, is doable, affordable, and responsible. It asks for at least 129 megawatts of solar, at least 1,500 megawatts of wind, comprehensive community-driven energy efficiency strategies, and utility-driven peak demand management programs, reaching the ability to deliver 2% annual reductions in electricity consumed through energy efficiency measures, and to deliver 1.3 to 2% annual reductions in peak demand, as well as to invest in and monitor other renewables and emerging technologies such as smart grids and battery storage. If the goals of the plan are met, you would be in a position to close at least one coal or gas unit, and there would be a 57% reduction in carbon emissions over the next 5 years, as the energy consultants found in their analysis of the plan, compared to business as usual. I met earlier with OPPD staff in the week and was told that a lot of what's in the Husker Power Plan you're already doing, and that's great to hear. But we would like to see those projections for the next 5 years and how they fall in line with the Husker Power Plan. OPPD has been a leader in renewables over the last 5 to 10 years. You've made incredible progress in a short time, but I'm asking you to do better because you have the expertise and the forethought to lead. It's the economically sensible move, and the science of climate change demands that we work faster to reduce carbon emissions. Dr. Don Wilhite's report, Climate Change Implications for Nebraska, states that if climate change continues unchecked, the 2012 drought and heat wave will become typical by mid-century. Our plan would reduce the pollutants that are now sickening and killing Nebraskans, reduce the state's contribution of greenhouse gases that are causing climate change, and invest in a cost-effective energy future for Nebraska. We want to work with you and the other utilities to achieve
30
it.
seconds.
For the people pushing the buttons, pulling the levers, running the numbers, and analyzing the reports, what would it take to do what we're suggesting? What will it take to get it done? We look forward to engaging with you over the coming months on how what's mentioned in the Husker Power Plan can influence and complement Strategic Directive 7 and other relevant SDs. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job of getting it done in 3 minutes. That's good.
Any other members of the public?
Oh,
Yes.
Is there anyone else?
he did a great job for not seeing the lights.
Good afternoon. My name is Chuck Slope, 8719 DuPont Street here in Omaha. And I have been a mechanical engineer in Omaha here for the last 31 years. 17 of those years was working for HDR, designing hospitals, data centers, and laboratories. But in the last 11 years, I have been working with big data in the energy analytics and smart building arena. This has given me the opportunity to work with entities as varied as the IBEW, Microsoft, the National Renewable Energy Lab, and the Energy Storage Integration Council of the Electric Power Research Institute. I'm here today to lend my support to the Husker Power Plan because I believe it complements OPPD's strategic objectives, and it addresses the planning criteria of high reliability, low cost, and environmental awareness in a balanced fashion. The second reason I am here is because I believe the Husker Power Plan addresses the future demands that will be placed upon the utility. Personally, I'm aware of at least 2 large OPPD customers with aggressive net zero emissions goals before the year 2050. If either of these entities were my design or analytics clients, I would be looking to see what OPPD has to offer in terms of helping them reach their goals, especially the low-hanging fruit of moving heating load from natural gas to renewable electricity heating in a cost-effective manner. Several years ago, I had the privilege of co-authoring 2 textbooks used to train every apprentice in the IBEW electrical union. While the technical insight was interesting, the business issues surrounding market expansion and training of staff for utilities was a real learning experience for me. I have all the confidence that OPPD can, quote, pull this off and meet the needs of these customers. I'm also here to let you know that the mechanical engineering community is not standing still. We are not only looking for assistance, but also offering opportunities for collaboration, because the challenges described above can most easily be expressed by crossing traditional boundaries. Local engineering firms of both large and medium-sized firms are currently discussing 2 techniques that address the needs stated above. The first issue is what is known as seasonal demand
30
shifting.
seconds.
It's a way for smart commercial buildings to move load from summer to winter rate structures without a smart grid investment. But this is an analytics-only approach. This not only gives the benefits of energy storage, but it can also be a talking point for economic development team talking to high-tech companies. It shows OPPD is progressive and recognizes the value
Time.
Now finish your thoughts, sir.
Okay. The other opportunity is strategic demand creation. In order to The fundamental concept is to make, to shift heating load from natural gas to currently curtailed electricity, not only using electric equipment within the building, but thermal storage specifically dedicated to that heating. This was described by Professor Tim Wentz, the immediate past president of ASHRAE Worldwide, as a completely different way of looking at decarbonization. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
My name is John Trout, address 3316 Augusta Avenue, Omaha, represented very well by Mike Kavanaugh. Thank you. I want to help OPPD and all of its customers, owners, to make successful transition to clean, renewable energy while we still have enough time and resources to do so. I am very thankful that OPPD has already made substantial progress in demand-side management and the transition to clean, renewable energy. I have a few suggestions, and I hope you'll consider them, although you may have better ways of doing things. I have made a few suggestions over the years for other groups. In 1960, the number of cab drivers in New York went from above 5 a week to below 2 a week. In 1961, Dwight Eisenhower made substantial improvements to the effectiveness of the people-to-people program. And in 2010, British Petroleum finally managed to seal off that leak in the Gulf of Mexico. The only thing they had in common was that they accepted and implemented, implemented my suggestions. Everything I want to say is already printed here for your consideration. I do recommend implementation of the Husker Power Plant to expand the quantity and variety of jobs, at OPPD, reduce utility bills for OPPD's customers, and reduce emissions. In the interest of full disclosure, I want you to know that I'm already asking the Metropolitan Utilities District to help implement the Husker Power Plan by using on-bill financing. MUD could profit by selling more gas and selling electricity.
30 seconds.
Okay, so everything else, I'm sorry, I've got a little heart condition, so it's hard to talk. So some copies for your consideration, and I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Lori Gift, address 3438 South 115th Avenue. Director Moody is my representative, so thank you. And then I guess just a thanks to Director Yoder for, I know that it's hard to go against, so thanks for the courage for that. I'm speaking for myself. I'm a member of Omaha Together, one community, so this is not a statement on their behalf, but I guess I am excited to hear about the community solar, and just want to tell you guys that I will make a commitment to go back to the leaders and help promote this. I'm really excited about it, so I will be an advocate to spread the word amongst our members. We have a lot of events over the summer, so that's it. So thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you.
Greetings, directors and CEO. Burke, it's good to see everybody today, and thanks for the opportunity to speak publicly. My name is Graham Christensen, and I live at 5653 South 186th Avenue, Omaha, Nebraska 68135. Director Mines is my representative. Thank you. First, a special thank you. I feel like over the past 5 years, I have seen the focus to think outside of the box, to explore opportunities, and then wait for that strategic time to be able to implement some of these forward-looking things. I'm becoming more proud to claim OPPD as my utility. I really like to see us having those open conversations ahead of the fact so that we're ready to go when it's time to go. And there's many examples, but we're all aware of what those are, I think, here today. I'm a supporter of the Husker Power Plan and the movement towards 100% renewable energy. A lot of communities across the country and across the globe are making these kind of commitments, hard goals in order to move forward to 100% renewable energy goals. By 2030, you hear the more aggressive ones in some cases, as well as 2050. We here should be, with all these natural resources available at our disposal and the good minds that work behind the scenes, I think should be able to make that a goal of ours as well. There's a couple of focuses that fit into this. What I like about the Husker Power Plant, it gives you guys the ability to find your own way that best is most appropriate for this area moving forward, and we get to share input on that. But there's a lot of flexibility that's here, so I just wanted to offer a couple quick suggestions. Number one, as we're thinking into the future, we're starting to look at how we develop community solar projects. It would be great to get a community scale or a utility scale pilot lithium-ion battery system to go with one of these projects. I know there's been some conversations. Maybe the prices aren't right. I think we all have our eye on those prices when they hit that sweet spot, but getting something that at least gives us a feel of how this works so we're just able to jump in a little bit quicker when we can max that out. And there's also a strategy that I wanted to bring awareness. It would be with more of a rural focus on the district. So Director Mines and Director Yoder, you two might be very interested in this. And it also comes with a security background. So I've been working with a gentleman formerly with the Department of Defense and the U.S. Army. And he's been working on systems in other rural communities across the globe in which they use existing water towers. Basically, he would utilize small town water systems with built-in energy storage in the form of water towers to service batteries. That means there's no expensive upfront battery costs, but we can still be able to utilize that system in order to get the same kind of results. A lot of small towns in this region, and I think OPPD serves about 60 of them. They could be restored with a extended power outage, but probably wouldn't be as high a priority. So in finishing up, I guess, there would be an opportunity to string together just very small increments to be able to keep those systems up and running and wouldn't have to go all in as big as the community project is in Fort Calhoun, but yet we could have more of a footprint across the district that would help us back up these systems should something happen. And then the metro area can continue to be a high priority, but we would be protected better in these rural areas. And it's extremely vital that we start looking at security, knowing that the impact of extensive climate change impacts that we've been having lately could impact us here as well. We don't want to become the next result of a superstorm Sandy. Let's be prepared for that.
Graham, I have your time, so
yep.
Thank you.
I imagine I'll be engaging with Director Yoder on some ideas that'll come forth with that can be relayed a little bit more extensively with a little bit more time.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Commission include you.
I don't know. I thought we were friends.
Good afternoon. My name is Tony Tachek. I live at 430 South 159th Street. So I'm here to support the Husker Power Plant as well as comment on the foundational revisions you made to your Strategic Directive 1. You said you wanted to exemplify fiscal, social, and environmental responsibility to optimize the value of your customer owners. The 2014 study published by UNL on climate change and the implications it will have for Nebraska predicts that the projected number of high temperature stress days over 100 degrees in Nebraska is expected to increase substantially. Since our coal-fired power plants typically supply about 3/5 of Nebraska's net electricity generation, and Nebraska is expected to see increasingly unpredictable weather, hotter year-round temperatures, and nearly double the average number of high temperature stress days, it would mean more frequent instances of peak energy demands, which would result in even more consumption and emissions. As OPPD continues its efforts to be environmentally sensitive and responsible during a time when pressure is rapidly increasing to change the way we affect the environment in the face of climate change, I believe OPPD should consider the Husker Power Plan as a complementary and interactive initiative that could help OPPD fulfill its goals going forward and truly lead the way we power the future. Even though Nebraska's retail electricity rates are the lowest third of state rates, we have substantially underdeveloped renewable potential. OPPD has taken massive strides in wind generation and will continue to make those, but there are more local renewable potential as well. The National Renewable Energy Laboratory ranked Nebraska 13th in the nation for having the greatest energy potential derived from solar. However, a study from the Solar Energy Industries Association shows Nebraska ranked at 44th in the country in 2017 for solar energy development, a drop from the 39th position the year before. I'm very excited to see how the OPPD's solar program progresses over time. I think that there's definitely a lot of room to expand there, so I'll be interested to see where that goes. But in the interest of carbon emissions, Nebraska is rated 9th in the country for the most energy-rated carbon emissions from 2000 to 2015 because of our hot summers and cold winters. Many other states have taken legislative initiatives to regulate emissions and incentivize the use of more renewable energy. And since we are a publicly owned utility, we could hold ourselves to a standard of making a real difference, not only environmentally, but as a community, in the common interest of enhancing economic opportunities that set an example to provide affordable, reliable, and environmentally sensitive energy services. Finally, as you consider Strategic Directive 7 over the next coming months, I would recommend that OPPD consider adding tangible carbon emission reduction goals to the directive so that we can hold ourselves accountable and keep meeting these immense goals like over 30% renewables. Which is definitely a feat to be celebrated, but there is more potential, and we must challenge ourselves to lead the way by continuing to invest in non-traditional solutions like efficiency, which is also a large part of the Husker Power Plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Michael Shanka. I'm at 517 North 74th Street, Omaha, 68114. I'm the owner of Solar Heat and Electric, a solar installation and consulting business that has been actively practicing sustainability for over 30 years. I'm one of only 2 NABCEF-rated PV installers in the state. That's the highest rating for a practicing professional. I've taught classes or seminars in all 6 of Nebraska's community colleges, Creighton, UNO, Iowa Western, and UNL. Our company's installed 15 different power districts with solar over the state, including the first center pivot irrigation system near Lindsay and the first community solar project in the state at Central City. I'm currently president of the Nebraskans for Solar, a nonprofit group dedicated towards education and increasing the market of solar. My purpose today is to ask the board to step back for a minute and consider a vision of Nebraska leading the nation in renewable energy. This is quite achievable. This vision has not only the ability to provide us with economic benefits, but also the fact that we're also using 2 of our greatest natural resources, solar and wind. We've already done significant work with the wind market at this time, so I'm asking for some more consideration of solar. The lifetime cost or ownership of solar at this time is less than 6 cents per kilowatt. It's the lowest in the history of the industry. Yet we are in danger of losing this great opportunity of more solar in the state if we don't get it done within a few years. That's when the tax credit expires. Coupled with technological innovations and the inverters that are capable of increasing grid resilience, and the storage capabilities now coming online are available to us to flatten that duck curve that happens late in the evening. Solar is a compelling win. Solar will help us preserve the structure of public power that our forefathers so carefully crafted, to preserve the inherent social good that we have achieved. Public power is indeed the cornerstone of our economy, and we need to build upon that structure with strategically placed local private investments, adding to our capacity and resilience. There's two key concepts here that I'd like to describe. One, it's just investment, and the second, keeping it local. Nebraska does not have fossil fuels, so 95% of our energy is imported to the state. This creates a huge trade
30
imbalance.
seconds.
95% cents out of every dollar is exported. If we keep things local with solar, we're going to keep employment local, we'll keep the contractors local, we'll keep the transmission lines local. There's just a lot of side benefits to the whole thing. In the coming months, we'll have the opportunity to develop some additional community solar projects. I encourage the board to broaden their vision on this and to actively participate with other communities.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Cutlass. I live in Papillion with my wife. I am here to simply encourage OPPD to continue its move to 100% renewable energy sources because it's the right thing to do and because it makes economic sense to look ahead, not behind. As Nebraska natives, we all know well that we have an abundance of wind and solar raw materials. I'd encourage you to tap those resources to the fullest extent possible. Let us as Nebraskans be clear-sighted leaders on this front with our eyes on a vibrant present and a hardy, robust future for our children and our grandchildren. Let's improve the health of our grid, the health of our citizens, the health of our planet by leaving behind the dirty fossil fuels of the past. We have the power and the know-how and the opportunity to do that. So thank you for the opportunity to address the board this afternoon and for the moves you've already made. Very exciting several items on your agenda today. Moves toward a cleaner, more sustainable energy future, and let's keep the ball rolling, even accelerate it with a push from the sun and the wind. Let's get to 100% clean, renewable energy sources. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Leo Arns, 18129 Trail Ridge Road, Omaha, Nebraska. Mr. Mines is my representative. I want to thank everybody. Once upon a time, 2012, we had meetings with OPPD, Dean Mueller, Sherry Hutchison, and so forth, talking about doing solar. Well, time has passed, and you're making it happen. I want to thank you for doing that. Now, as part of this whole scheme, we got to look at what's happened across Nebraska in communities that have put community solar in. Some of them have been very successful in subscription. There's a couple of them that, I'll just say the word, it sucks. They didn't do a good job, and so the other ratepayers are ending up sharing some of the burden. So as far as going ahead and marketing, Mr. Burke, I know you're an excellent marketing man. So what we need to do is to get these programs going ahead of time so that the public can get involved. Now, as an example, there's successful programs in Iowa that have had 2 or 3 years of experience and so forth. The Outstate Nebraska programs. We need to get the people involved, get workshops and so forth so that we can make it happen and so that our program can be successful, so that we can utilize those extra 35 acres at Blair for the next system from that standpoint. The other item I have come up, as Mr. Burke was talking about the passion and so forth that you have, the thing about giving books to kids. I mean, this just come up in the blue when you mentioned this here. We have a whole bunch of retired teachers. Myself, I have a wife that's a retired teacher. I have books in my house that are shelves, and all these retired teachers have storybooks and so forth. What some of these teachers are proposing is to put in little stands in the neighborhood where you put books in and so forth. But anyway, from that standpoint, there's a whole bevy of people out there that have extra books that if we could move this forward from that standpoint. So that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Hello. My name is Ryan Wishart. I'm at 912 North 49th Street. I'm assistant professor of sociology at Creighton and a board member with Nebraskans for Peace. And I'd direct you to their recent Nebraska report issue championing the Husker Power Plan. As OPPD considers the revision of its strategic directives in the coming months, particularly Directive 7, I encourage the board to reflect on the origins, purpose, and promise of public power. Public power has the great virtue of being able to place the public good above shareholder interests, profit maximization, or growth for growth's sake. It's encouraging that OPPD is on track to meet and potentially exceed previous goals set for 30% renewable retail sales. Given the findings and projections of needed changes in energy use to deal with climate change, a long-term goal of 100% renewables is essential. This long-term goal should be supplemented by medium-term goals to achieve this long-term goal by no later than 2050. As an environmental sociologist, I follow the literature in this area closely, and research has found that despite previous assumptions, just increasing renewables does not automatically displace dirty fuel sources. For this reason, OPPD should add explicit language to Directive 7 indicating a goal of reducing pollution in general and greenhouse gases specifically. The plan for reducing pollution should also take account of principles of environmental justice, prioritizing facilities for modification or retirement. Current language states OPPD will incorporate renewables at the, quote, pace of value. In order to provide more meaningful engagement, I would like more information and public engagement on how this concept of value is operationalized. Value can be conceived of in narrow, purely monetary terms or in more holistic and multifaceted ways. It's the latter conception, I think, that is at the heart of the promise of public power. Customer owners certainly value their hard-earned money, but they have other values they want their public institutions to protect as well. This brings me to some points that overlap with Strategic Directive 2. Directive 2 speaks to fair, reasonable, and non-discriminatory rates, equitably assigning costs, and critically, reflecting the costs of energy when it's used. Some of you may remember hearing about the externalities of health and well-being, such as elevated asthma rates associated with the North Omaha facilities, when the board made the positive decision to shutter or shift those to gas in the future. But those costs were clearly not reflected when that energy was used. And there's ample research that these types of externalities associated with fossil fuels, the whole life cycle of coal. So I realize there's some statutory language that that directive is responding to, but that is not the limit of what the board can consider in long-term planning. So OPPD should consider which communities have paid these externalized costs in unfair or discriminatory fashion in the past, and who is projected to pay these costs associated with climate change in the future as it revises their directives. For example, on the basis of race or class. Accounting for these types of unpaid costs is necessary for incorporating environmental justice principles mentioned above in pollution reduction and considering the cost to future generations of climate change in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
John Pollock, 1412 North 35th Street, Omaha. In the interest of time, I'm just going to say that I support the statements of many of the previous speakers, especially Dr. Wishart, and that I am in favor of a long-term goal of 100% renewable. I remain extremely concerned about climate change, and I support the Husker Power Plant. As far as your more immediate weather concerns, made you wait, we're entering a more active weather pattern than we've seen most of the spring. we're in a region that the meteorologists call the Ring of Fire, which is a zone where we're on the edge of the jet stream and near but not underneath the subtropical high pressure zone that often dominates our weather later in the summer. That means that we're going to be seeing periodic weather disturbances with the potential for severe weather. There's nothing exceptional coming up right at the moment, but we're going to be generally staying in that zone with a lot of fluctuations in the weather as the different storm systems go by. We do have the potential for exceptional heat Sunday into Monday. That's going to depend on exactly what sort of thunderstorm activity we get going into that and how it sets up a front. We're going to have extremely hot air in the southern plains that's going to be attempting to penetrate into our area, and the outcome isn't clear cut yet. But I am looking for a lot more severe weather than we've had earlier in the spring throughout the service region. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Okay, I think that's it. Thanks, everyone.
If it pleases the chair, could I just make a couple comments? I'll be quick.
Okay.
First, thanks to those of you that came. I really appreciate it. It's nice to have somebody other than Pollock and Corbin up here talking to us.
Yeah, it's so boring.
So I honestly, thank you for coming to a public board meeting. That really does mean a lot to me personally to have you here. Many of you mentioned SD7. I was wondering if we could just quickly talk about what our process is for SD7. I know we've got a Public Information Committee meeting coming up on July 12th.
Correct.
And then we will at that point have a subcommittee discussion about what changes are desired in SD7. And then the committee will, correct me if I'm wrong, will at that time determine whether or not we take it to the board in August.
If you guys are in agreement to do so.
Right.
This has been I'm chair of the Public Information, and we've previously met and have asked the entire team actually is part of this and have worked very, very hard. Hopefully they'll be ready for us for the next meeting. We delayed the one meeting because it didn't have all the data for us. We had asked a lot of questions. I did take notes on everyone and their comments, and it will be discussed during the committee meetings, just so you know.
So,
we are working hard on this.
Yes.
This is not an easy process, and frankly, I think if you really want it really good, I'm not sure if we're going to get it done by August. I think there might have to be more discussion.
Well, at best case scenario, from a process standpoint, the Public Information Committee meets on July 12th. It would go to the board for full discussion and consideration at the August committee meeting. And if we are in agreement, then we would sort of start the clock ticking for roughly a 30-day public outreach period, which means it would go to the September board meeting for a vote. That's the fastest it will go.
Yeah.
We'll know more after July 12th. As to whether or not it's going to go for discussion at the board level. Either way, continue the engagement. Please involve yourselves. Let us know what you think, what you mean. All of these comments have been very helpful for us as we're thinking about, what the right metrics are and where we need to go. So thanks again.
Can I make an observation here? There's a lot of people here tonight, and thank you, by the way, for the process. It was not quite clear to me. It was, but September's the fastest. That's was not something I'd quite come up with yet.
Yeah.
It seems like the Husker Power Plan and many of the comments here are predicated on a particular understanding of climate change and a response to that. Is there? There was a report written by the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. That professor has retired but may still be available. But I know UNMC College of Public Health has a new climate change person coming on board. We've got the Drought Center. There are climate change experts there. Just something to consider, I guess, is the board not asking for an answer today, but we may want to consider inviting some Creighton has experts as well. Maybe bring someone in to talk to the board about climate change.
I think we'll discuss that.
Sure,
You
yeah,
know,
no,
Mr. Kavanaugh is probably the one who would be in charge of that.
okay.
Okay, we're adjourned.
Hey, Steve.
Thank you.
Hey, Steve.
And I know